Hello everyone, this is January the 3rd and I'm ready to do today's daily stitching. It can be quite tricky at this point to choose colours because you haven't got a lot there already down, so you're kind of setting a colour palette at this point. So I've pulled out a couple of Silk Pearl 12 threads. One is a sort of a greyish blue and one is a paler blue with some bits of kind of pale brown and grey along the length. So I'm starting with the darker of the two, and I've just started off on the back here, and I've come up somewhere in the middle towards the bottom, and I have no idea what I'm going to do. I promise you, there isn't a plan. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to start with a little chain stitch there, I think. Because, well, why not? And then I'm going to come back up, maybe underneath it. And maybe I will do some sort of running stitch around it. Again, because why not? And sometimes it really is best just to let your hands get on with it and get your brain to stop overthinking, because I think sometimes your brain can interfere a bit too much. I'm just going to turn that around so I can just get at that last stitch there, and then maybe I'll do that again. There isn't, incidentally, going to be a video every day. Firstly, because I can't be available 365 days a year because I'm a human person and I need a day off now and again. But, you know, also sometimes I just want to sit and do this quietly. I don't necessarily want to talk it through every time I do it. But I've just done the first 3 days just to, you know, give you an idea of how to get started on it. And once you've done 2 or 3, you can kind of take it from there and make it up as you go. Right, I've done 2 laps of running stitch with that, and I think what I'm going to do now is a ring of straight stitch around it. So let me get that where you can see it. Oops. And I'm just going to do straight stitches radiating out from this central motif here. So I'm going to carry on with that, and then we'll have a look at it again. Okay, that's a full revolution there of straight stitch. I've still got quite a lot of thread left. I'm just going to keep going until the thread runs out. So I'm just going to do another ring of straight stitch around here, and then I'll look at it again. Right, you can see my threads running out here. Didn't quite get to do a full revolution. Just going to take that down to the other side. Finish that off somewhere in one of these previous stitches, maybe there. Just a couple of back stitches will do it. And I'm just going to look at it again. So now I'm thinking, got a choice here. I can either take some more of this thread and complete that, or I can do it in a different colour, or I can leave it as a part circle. I'm just going to have a think about that for a minute. Okay, I think what I've decided to do, instead of going with this paler blue, I've gone with a slightly darker one. So I'm going to pick up where this one left off, and come back to the beginning, and then I'm going to think about it again. Right, here we go. So I've got this darker colour ready to go, and you can see that this is kind of like starting an abstract painting. You know, you're putting down a colour or a mark, and then you're responding to it. So, you know, when I talk about thinking about it, I'm not really thinking. I'm kind of looking at it and making an intuitive decision about what I'm going to do next. Got a little tangle going on here. This is Silk Pearl 12 as well, by the way. So, you know, there's kind of thinking with your head, and there's thinking with your soul, actually, is what I think is happening. You know, you're looking at it and responding. Right, I've got back to the end there. I think what I'm going to do now is bring that thread back up there. It is very gloomy today. I don't know if you can see very clearly. I've got as many lights on as I've got. It's still quite dark. And what I'm going to do is just run this thread under these straight stitches, and I'm leading with the eye end of the needle because it's less likely to snag on anything. And you can see that that's making quite a nice outline through those stitches. Just adds a little bit of definition. Because you'll find that colours appear quite different. You know, you take a kind of, I don't know if I can put my hands on that thread again, I think I might have put it away. But you know, you take a thread that looks as if it's going to be quite dark. Actually, you put it on a pale background, and your eye starts mixing it with the pale background, and it appears much paler than it really is, depending on how densely you stitch it. So, where am I now? Let's just run this thread along a little bit, because I think we might keep going with this. I always think, you know, if you've got thread left, just keep going until the thread runs out. Do something with it. And I think we might do some, just do some running stitch around here, I think. And I may just do a running stitch all the way around up into here as well, just to fill the space. And what this little motif is reminding me of, actually, is a little seed under the ground, lying dormant in the winter. And it's gathering its energy, ready to burst out into the open air in the spring. And I think winter is a really good time for resting and recharging. Okay, so I've gone all the way around here, and then I'm just making my way back round again, and I'm just going to fill this other space with some rows of running stitch. Which is about as easy as it can be. Just a few more rows of this running stitch to go, and I think we're about done. I'm just going to fill in these corners on both sides, and then I'll look at it again. Okay, so I think I'm calling that finished, and it's just a little, maybe a little representation of a little seed underground waiting for the spring. So next video will be probably next week, sometime. But you can see from the first 3 days, it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple or as elaborate as you want it to be. You could fill each block with rows of running stitch if you wanted to. That would look really attractive. You know, it doesn't have to be complicated. But anyway, well, next week you'll be able to see that I've filled in a few more of these, and until then, happy stitching.